I'm Becca. I take tech outside. And 2 weeks ago, I challenged myself to use this phone. It has no email, no third-party apps, and no social media. It's a minimal phone.
Well, it's not just any minimal phone. It's the brand new Light Phone 3. One of the most popular and expensive minimal devices that you can get. And yes, I bought this with my own money, none of this is sponsored, and I have my personal full-time SIM card in here, like the one I call my mom with. I want to do this right, I didn't want to cut any corners. For the last 2 weeks, this device has been my daily driver, showing me the absolute best and worst experience a minimal phone can provide. Welcome to 2 weeks with the Light Phone 3. Okay, I'm at the gym, and I just thought, what if something is happening in the world and I don't know about it? And then I thought, if something was happening in the world, I'd probably find out pretty quick. But then I felt better. Back to working out. I started my light phone journey down in New York City, and immediately I just felt better. I was spending less time looking at screens. I was remembering how easy it was to simply read a map for directions. I was prioritizing the window seat on the train, staring out the window and daydreaming more. And above all else, I just wasn't missing my smartphone. Well, not yet. Light's whole ethos is that we give all of our time and our attention to our phones, and yet we get nothing in return. So over 10 years ago, the company set out to create a phone that was as light as possible. In fact, the very first light phone only made calls and could only save 9 phone numbers. Cut to 2025, and with the third generation of this phone, you can make calls. Hi, Floyd. You can send texts. Get directions, access a sort of phone book directory for looking up places. You can download music to it, MP3 player style. You can subscribe to podcasts, set timers and alarms, calculate numbers, take notes, hotspot to other devices. There's even a calendar. In theory, this is everything and maybe a bit more than what you need. Not what you want, just what you need. And while you can adjust all of these settings on your phone, there's also an online portal. There you can adjust what tools are on your device, subscribe to podcasts, upload music or contacts, and view notes. Your device is also paired to your email address, so anytime you receive a link or any sort of media, that text is forwarded to your email so that you can open the link or save the photo. And to be clear, you can also view photos and videos on your device, but you can't open links. This workflow was fulfilling all of my needs till about day 4. That's when my work life started to pick up, and wowie, I did not realize just how much I rely on my smartphone until it was gone. All right, we're gonna find out where this event is without logging into my email. The first bad day I had with the light phone was my fault, but kind of a funny story. I went out to drinks with a friend without writing down where an event I was supposed to attend later that night was to take place. All of those details were in my email, and I couldn't log into my email on my friend's phone because I had no way to authenticate my login.
It could be the Crosby Hotel. Do I call the hotel and ask them? That's what I'm thinking.
So that's exactly what we did, until we found the one.
I was just wondering if you guys are hosting a event. Is it at 6:30? What floor is it on? But never an unsolved mystery between us.
But that was just the beginning of my troubles. The next day, in group chats, I was only receiving iOS users' chats and not Android users' chats.
Because what is going on?
Wait, why were you not getting our messages?
I'm not getting your messages!
A week and a half later, this still hasn't been fixed, but I made Light aware, and hopefully, please, Light, for the love of God, you need to fix this. And then by day 7, I was feeling really frustrated by not being able to respond to people quickly. I just tried to coordinate some folks meeting up that don't know each other, but I couldn't figure out how to put them in a group chat, and then I couldn't figure out how to send them each other's contacts, and then I'm trying to text quickly, but I can't text quickly on this phone, and I literally finished and had to take the biggest breath out. That was work. The experience of texting on the Light phone is just slow, and you have to accept that you're gonna go slower. For example, it has autocorrect, but it won't correct the spelling of words. You have to go back and fix words that are spelled incorrectly. And there is a voice-to-text option, which is super helpful, but number one, it picks up any voice that's around you, including someone singing on the radio, and it doesn't do a great job with punctuation. No matter how excited I attempt to sound, I cannot get this thing to use an exclamation mark.
I'm really excited.
And it only uses a question mark when it recognizes that you're asking a question.
We're thinking we want to go tomorrow? Are we thinking we want to go tomorrow?
And if you take the smallest break in a sentence, it will put a period.
Hello, it's me, Becca.
A week and a half into using this phone, I started to see that it would simply be impossible for me to go full minimal all the time. So when I knew I would be out alone and I wouldn't have a friend to rely on for things like Lyft, or I would need my Gmail for things like work, I would bring what I call a smarter phone. By hotspotting off the light phone and keeping my calling, my texting, my core phone activities on the light phone, I would bring out the smarter phone when I need it, I use it, and then I'd throw it back into my camera bag and kind of forget about it until I needed it again. And for the last 5 days or so, that's what I've been doing. And it's been going really well, especially since I put this MagSafe array on the back. I freaking love magnets, and it looks so damn cute on the fridge. Now, there are some folks that might rightfully argue, Becca, that defeats the whole purpose of having a light phone, and you are not wrong, but what I've found is that I actually don't need my smartphone as much as I thought, and so it usually stays home on my desk, and then it kind of becomes like a laptop. I use it intentionally when I need to do laptop or smartphone things. And when I can go light, I've found that I'm not nearly as bored or in need of social media connection as I thought. For example, I've collectively waited for over an hour at the DMV this week because I can't follow instructions.
DMV attempt number 2.
And it turns out that I can just stand in line and stare at the wall and be perfectly content. What a revelation. Okay, but it wouldn't be a Becca video if we didn't talk about the camera, which by now you've seen a lot of shaky footage from. The camera on the Light Phone 3, which is the first camera on a light phone, is far more early 2000s point and shoot than it is iPhone 16 Pro. It has a single 50 megapixel rear sensor that outputs 12 megapixel images through binning and an 8 megapixel front sensor. On the photo front, this equates to decent photos in great light with even a touch of somewhat aggressive fall off and some really soft, moody, are these from my Kodak EasyShare? Images at night. What are these white dots? And why does this feel so nostalgic? And why do I love it? With a little flash, you can be even deeper in the feels. It's nowhere near great, nor is it worth $600, but it definitely gets points for style. The video side of things continues this point and shoot trend. Because of a complete lack of stabilization, the 1080p 30 frames per second footage has this ever-present jitter to it. And there's no sharpening happening at all. Though it does have better mics than any old point and shoot I've used.
We can take the 7 or the ACE to the F.
Much like the texting experience, the photo taking experience is slow. Via the dedicated shutter button, you half push to focus and full push to shoot, but then end up waiting a few moments for the camera to respond. At night, this can feel like forever, especially when attempting to use the flash. And then there's one more thing we haven't talked about yet, the price.
Whoa!
If you are simply looking for a bare bones basic phone,
You just gotta get low at Walmart. 5 megapixel camera, 2000 milliamp hour battery, 1988. TCL Flip 3, $40. Blue Flex, 1988.
or you could download a minimal launcher, only go out with your smartwatch, etc. This phone, on the other hand, is more like a designer bag or a luxury car, because if you own it, I'm positive it is not your only phone, and you probably own really nice other smartphones, and you're willing to pay more for a unique experience that was handcrafted by 14 people in Brooklyn. That's actually what makes up Light as a company. I physically went to pick up my phone, and I can confirm the office is the size of a closet. The question then does become, for the folks who aren't just gonna buy this thing because it's shiny and new and cool on paper, is the experience of using this device worth its luxury price? And I think for most folks, the answer would be no. Because although this device has some of the best hardware I've ever seen on a minimal phone, which I haven't even talked in depth about, but here, just listen to these buttons. There's a lot to be done on the software side still. The company has promised that it's going to roll out support for the fingerprint sensor that's up here, maps that you can actually scroll around on. You can't do that right now, and it's killer. eSIM support, RCS support, a sort of Find My Phone feature, maybe Lyft support, weather, internet radio, a digital wallet, Signal or WhatsApp support, and more languages. But that's a long list, and none of that is present right now. Not to mention, you'll only get about a day of battery life out of this thing, and it will drain overnight if it's not plugged in. So yeah, the Light Phone 3 is definitely not for everybody. But personally, despite all of the troubles I initially had, I told myself that I only had to use this phone for 2 weeks. It's been 2.5, and I'm still using it as my daily driver. I genuinely enjoyed this experience. And on the very first day of using it, I noticed that I was having this sort of anxiety about not being connected to social media that was really eye-opening for me. And I don't think the answer to figuring out that maybe you have that anxiety too, or solving that, is to pay, $600, $700, $800 for a phone. But it has really changed how I feel about phones at large. So yeah, I bought it and I'm gonna keep using it. For everyone else, maybe just leave your phone at home once in a while and see how you feel. That's like the free version. I'm Becca. Could you daily drive this? Do you want to daily drive this? I appreciate you so much. And hopefully I'll see you again here next week for a whole nother one. Bye, bud.